Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today's Thursday, November 29th, 2018. Today I'm going to recap last night's college basketball games and discuss a little bit of the ACC Big Ten Classic, NBA, NHL. I'll do my bold projections for college football prior to championship weekend. I will go over a coaching change in college football, make my pick for Saints Cowboys, and I'll do my best bet of the night. All right. College basketball, Jacksonville State defeats Craver Bible 101-61 as Jacksonville State improves to 3-3. Georgia State upsets Tulane 80-76. Georgia State improves to 5-2. Tulane drops to 2-4. Number 6 Tennessee defeats Eastern Kentucky 95-67. Tennessee 5-1. Eastern Kentucky 3-4. Xavier defeats Miami of Ohio 82-55. Xavier 4-3. Miami of Ohio 3-4. West Virginia defeats Rider 92-78. West Virginia 4-2. Rider 2-2. Georgetown defeats Richmond 90-82. Georgetown 6-1. Richmond 2-5. Hofstra defeats Siena 94-86. Hofstra 4-3. Siena 2-5. Charleston defeats South Carolina State 83-70. Charleston 6-2, South Carolina State 1-7. NJIT defeats Drexel 70-67. NJIT 7-1, Drexel 3-4. Akron defeats Alabama State 86-54. Akron 5-2, Alabama State 2-4. Northeastern defeats Bucknell 96-78. Northeastern 3-4, Bucknell 2-3. South Florida defeats Stetson 75-71. South Florida 5-2, Stetson 1-7. St. Joe's defeats UIC 89-75. St. Joe's 4-3, UIC 3-4. St. Bonaventure defeats Canisius 70-55. Bonaventure 2-5, Canisius 1-6. Old Dominion defeats VCU 62-72. Old Dominion 4-3, VCU 5-2. UMass defeats Quinnipiac 69-62. UMass 5-3, Quinnipiac 2-3. Marshall defeats William & Mary 84-64. Marshall 5-1, William & Mary 2-5. George Mason defeats Morgan State 82-75. George Mason 3-5, Morgan State 2-4. Vermont defeats George Washington 69-53. Vermont 4-3, George Washington 1-6. Rhode Island defeats Brown 71-51. Rhode Island 3-2, Brown 5-3. Princeton defeats Maine 73-59. Princeton 3-2, Maine 0-7. Boston University defeats New Hampshire 82-53. BU 4-4, New Hampshire 2-5. Liberty defeats Navy 76-58. Liberty 6-1, Navy 2-4. Toledo defeats North Alabama 80-59. Toledo 6-1, North Alabama 2-5. Robert Morris defeats Youngstown State 76-56. Robert Morris 4-3, Youngstown State 3-5. St. Francis Brooklyn defeats Presbyterian 90-86. St. Francis 4-3, Presbyterian 3-4. Cornell defeats Lafayette 63-58 in overtime. Cornell 4-3, Lafayette 2-4. Harvard defeats Holy Cross 73-62. Harvard is 4-3, so is Holy Cross. Gardner-Webb defeats South Carolina Upstate 74-61. Gardner-Webb is 3-5. South Carolina Upstate is 1-6. Yale defeats Bryant 103-61. Yale 2-2, Bryant 1-5. Kent State defeats Detroit Mercy 76-72. Kent State 6-1, Detroit 3-4. Winthrop defeats Tennessee Tech 82-70. Winthrop 4-3, Tennessee Tech 1-6. Evansville defeats Wyoming 86-78. Evansville 3-3, Wyoming 2-5. IUPUI defeats Bradley 85-73. IUPUI 5-2, Bradley 6-2. NC Central defeats Christendom 110-51. NC Central is 3-5. Syracuse defeats number 16 Ohio State 72-62. Impressive win for Jim Boeheim in the orange. I predicted Syracuse as they go to 4-2. Ohio State handed their first loss. They are now 6-1. Rutgers upsets Miami 57-54. A shocking win for Rutgers. They're 5-1. Miami's 5-2. Number 4, Virginia defeats number 24, Maryland, 76-71. Virginia is 7-0. Maryland is 6-1. Ole Miss defeats San Diego, 93-86. Ole Miss 4-2. San Diego 5-2. Army defeats Binghamton 67-56. Army 3-5, Binghamton 2-5. Florida International defeats Florida Gulf Coast 81-80. Florida International 7-1, Florida Gulf Coast 2-7. Central Michigan defeats Sam Houston State 81-65. Central Michigan 6-1. Sam Houston 3-5. Number 8 Auburn kills St. Peter's 99-49. Auburn 6-1. St. Peter's 1-5. DePaul defeats Cleveland State 83-73. DePaul 4-1. Cleveland State 2-6. Illinois State defeats BYU 92-89 in overtime. Illinois State 6-2. BYU 5-3. Houston defeats Texas Rio Grande Valley 58-53. Houston 5-0, Rio Grande 5-4. South Dakota State defeats UMKC 75-47. South Dakota State 6-2, UMKC 1-7. Green Bay defeats Northern Illinois 85-83. Green Bay 4-3, Northern Illinois 4-3. Central Arkansas defeats Little Rock 78-65. Central Arkansas 3-4. Little Rock 3-4. Texas State defeats Rice 74-60. Texas State 6-1. Rice 3-5. Southern Miss defeats South Alabama 71-67. Southern Miss 5-2. South Alabama 3-4. Louisiana defeats New Orleans 77-73 in overtime. Louisiana 4-3. New Orleans 3-3. Purdue Fort Wayne kills Eastern Illinois 104-60. Purdue Fort Wayne 5-4. Eastern Illinois 3-4. Nichols defeats Spring Hill 85-65. Nichols is 5-4. Mississippi Valley State defeats Russ 102-62. Mississippi Valley is now 2-6. Western Illinois defeats SIU Edwardsville 83-58. Western Illinois 3-4. SIU Edwardsville 1-4. Number 10 Kentucky defeats Monmouth 90-44. Kentucky 6-1. Monmouth 0-8. Creighton defeats Montana 98-72. Creighton 6-1, Montana 4-2. Colorado defeats Portland 93-69. Colorado 4-1, Portland 5-4. Utah Valley defeats Western State 82-59. Utah Valley 5-3. New Mexico State defeats UTEP 62-58. New Mexico State 5-1, UTEP 2-4. Northern Colorado defeats Denver 88-72. Northern Colorado 4-1, Denver 2-5. Arizona State defeats Omaha 89-71. Arizona State 6-0, Omaha 3-5. UCLA defeats Hawaii 80-61. UCLA 5-2, Hawaii 4-4. Utah State defeats Northern Iowa 71-52. Utah State 6-1, Northern Iowa 3-4. Northwestern defeats Georgia Tech 67-61. This game was a lot closer than I expected. Northwestern 6-1, Georgia Tech 4-2. Number 15 Florida State defeats number 19 Purdue 73-72. Florida State is 6-1, Purdue 5-2. Air Force defeats Missouri State 88-69. Air Force 3-4. Missouri State 3-4. Number 7 Michigan defeats number 11 North Carolina 84-67. Impressive win for John Beilein's team to remain undefeated. They're 7-0. UNC drops to 6-2. Fresno State defeats Pacific 81-78 in overtime. Fresno 4-2. Pacific 5-4. UC Irvine defeats St. Mary's 80-75. Irvine 7-1. St. Mary's 3-4. Seattle defeats Northwest Washington 107-72. Seattle is 7-2. Stanford defeats Portland State 79-67. Stanford is 4-3. Portland State 3-3. Indiana State defeats San Jose State 86-57. Indiana State 4-1. San Jose State 1-6. Valparaiso defeats UNLV 72-64. Valparaiso 4-3. UNLV 4-2. USC defeats Long Beach State 75-65. USC 5-2. Long Beach State 2-6. Today's slate. Final right now. Marist defeats Dartmouth 76-58. Going on right now in the Basketball Hall of Fame Classic. I should say the Belfast Classic. You have Albany and LIU Brooklyn on the CBS Sports Network. 7 o'clock, Sacred Heart Boston College, Alabama, UCF. Coppin State, James Madison. Trinity Baptist Campbell, Hampton, Norfolk State, Central Connecticut State, NCAT at 7:30, as well as Belmont Sanford. 8 o'clock, McNeese and SMU. Florida A&M, North Florida. UAB, Alabama A&M. East-West against Chicago State, 8:15. Austin Peoria, 8:30. San Diego Christian and Southern Utah. Hostile and Texas Southern, 9 o'clock, Georgia Southern in Arizona. Mountain Western against Idaho State, 10 o'clock, Jackson State, Santa Clara, Cal Baptist, UC Riverside, Northern Arizona, UC Davis, Sacramento State, Santa Barbara, Bethesda, and Loyola Marymount, and that's it for the slate. It's a small slate for Thursday. Now I'm going to go over last night's NBA games. The 76ers defeated the Knicks 117-91. 76ers are 5-8. The Knicks are 7-16. Joel Embiid continues his great start to the season. 26 points, 14 boards, and 7 assists. Ben Simmons, 14 points, 8 boards, 7 assists. J.J. Redick, 24 points. Off the bench, Mike Muscala had 10 with 8 boards. And Frank Kormaz, off the bench, had 11. Meanwhile, for the Knicks, each with 17 points, Mario Hezonja and Enes Kanter. And off the bench, Damian Dotson had 16. Hornets defeat the Hawks 108-94. The Hornets are 11-10. The Hawks are 5-17. Jeremy Lamb had 22. Kemba Walker and Cody Zeller each had 19. Nick Batum had 13. And the bench for Charlotte didn't really do much. Trae Young had 18. Kevin Huerter and Taurean Prince each had 12. And Justin Anderson off the bench had 10. The Jazz defeated the Nets 101-91, a much-needed win for the Utah Jazz. They're 10-12. Brooklyn 8-14. Donovan Mitchell back in the lineup, 29 points. Rudy Gobert had 23 with 16 boards. Off the bench, Royce O'Neal had 13. And with 11 off the bench, Raul Neto. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, Jared Allen, and D'Angelo Russell each had 14. Spencer Dinwiddie had 18 off the bench. Shabazz Napier had 10 off the bench. The Mavericks defeat the Rockets 128-108. This was the team that spoiled my parlay win last night, as the Mavericks go to 10-9, Houston 9-11. Luka Doncic, who to me is the front runner for Rookie of the Year, had 20. Harrison Barnes and DeAndre Jordan each had 13. Dennis Smith Jr. had 10. Wesley Matthews had 11. Off the bench, Devin Harris had 20. J.J. Barea had 13 off the bench. James Harden had 25 with 11 boards and 17 assists. Eric Gordon had 17. James Ennis and Clint Capella each had 18. And off the bench with 18, Danielle House Jr. And Chris Paul is not back yet. The Bucks defeated the Bulls 116-113. The Bucks go to 15-6. Chicago goes to 5-17. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 36 points, 11 boards, and 8 assists. Chris Middleton had 17. Brook Lopez had 12. Malcolm Brogdon had 24. The bench didn't do much for Milwaukee. Zach LaVine had 24 points, 9 boards, and 7 assists. Jabari Parker had 24 points, 8 boards, and 5 assists. Ryan Acuriano had 22. Robin Lopez off the bench had 17. The Timberwolves defeated the Spurs 128-89, an impressive win for Tom Thibodeau's team to go to 11-11. The Spurs dropped to 10-11. This was the third worst loss for the Spurs under Greg Popovich. Karl Anthony Towns had 16 with 11 boards. Robert Covington had 21 with 9 boards. Andrew Wiggins had 10. Taj Gibson had 13. Off the bench, Derrick Rose had 16. Josh Okogie had 12 off the bench. Dario Saric had 10 off the bench. DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge each had 10. Quincy Pondexter off the bench had 13. Jakob Poeltl off the bench had 14 with 8 boards. Marco Bellinelli off the bench had 11. The Pelicans defeat the Wizards 125-104. This should have been the team I put in the teaser, or I should say the Moneyline Parlay, but I didn't have the balls to do it because Anthony Davis is not healthy, and I forgot that Chris Paul was out for Houston. As New Orleans goes to 11-11, Washington drops to 8-13. Anthony Davis, 28 points, 15 boards. Drew Holiday had 29 points, 7 boards, and 5 assists. Tim Frazier had 12 points, 12 assists, and 6 boards. Nikola Mirotic had 15 points with 9 boards. Etuan Moore had 10 points. Julius Randle off the bench had 23 points and 12 boards. Kelly Oubre Jr. had 22. John Wall had 17. Bradley Beal had 16 with 11 assists. Markieff Morris had 22 with 9 boards. Jeff Green had 10 off the bench. The Thunder defeated the Cavaliers 100-83. Good compromise win for OKC, who needed this win. They're 13-7. Cleveland drops to 4-16. Russell Westbrook with yet another triple-double ties Jason Kidd all-time on the triple-doubles list. 23 points, 19 rebounds, and 15 assists. Jeremy Grant had 21. Paul George had 18. OKC's bench didn't do much. Colin Sexton had 21 points and 10 boards. Cedi Osman had 14 points, 10 boards, 6 assists. Rodney Hood had 12. Jordan Clarkson off the bench had 25. The Trailblazers defeated the Magic 115-112. As Orlando hangs around again, they fall short, go to 10-12. Portland improves to 13-8. Damian Lillard, 41 points, 8 boards, 4 assists. CJ McCollum had 15. Yusuf Nurkic had 16 with 13 boards. Nick Stauskas off the bench, 18 points, including 5 3-pointers. Every Magic starter was in double digits. Jonathan Isaacs had 16 with 7 boards. Jonathan Simmons had 13. Nikola Vucevic making a case for most improved player. 20 points, 8 boards, 7 assists. DJ Augustine had 10. Evan Fournier had 17. Terrence Ross off the bench had 10 points, as well as Jarrell Martin. The Clippers defeated the Suns 115-99. The Clippers go to 14-6. Phoenix drops to 4-17. Danilo Gallinari had 28 points and 10 boards. Tobias Harris had 18 points and 10 boards. Boban Marjanovic had 12 points and 12 boards. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 13 points with 7 boards. Montrezl Harrell had 18 off the bench. Lou Williams had 20 off the bench. Devin Booker, 23 points. TJ Warren had 15 off the bench. Josh Jackson had 15 off the bench. Elie Okobo had 19 off the bench. Rashawn Holmes had 10. Short slate tonight, a big TNT doubleheader. You have the Warriors at the Raptors. Potential NBA Finals preview. The only thing that's missing from this is Stephen Curry, or else this would have been the game of the year. But maybe without Curry, this is potentially the game of the year. But it would have been much more enticing with Curry. I think the Raptors are going to win this game. If Stephen Curry was playing, maybe I'd talk myself into Golden State. Golden State's actually a 9-point underdog, which, let's face it, seems right without Curry. But if Curry was in the lineup, I'd give -3 to the Raptors. I think Curry's worth 6 points. And home court advantage is worth 3. If this was a neutral site without Curry, I'd peg it 6 for the Raptors. So, I really think that it should be -3 for the Toronto Raptors if Curry was healthy. But this is with or without Curry, a great opportunity for the Raptors to make themselves a statement. Kawhi Leonard's going to be motivated to play against the Warriors because he got injured against them in the Western Conference Finals a few years ago when he was on San Antonio. 10:30 TNT, you have the Clippers at the Kings. This is a statement game for the Kings to prove themselves for real on national television. The nation gets to see the improvement of De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield in that backcourt. But I like the Clippers to get the win on the road. They're just a better team than the Kings. And although there's a case to be made for the Kings to win this game outright, I just trust Doc Rivers' team a little bit more than Dave Yeager's team. And then Pacers-Lakers is a 10:30 game. I'm surprised that this is not the TNT game because you would think TNT would pick LeBron James over Clippers-Kings. But that's not the case this week. So for the TNT doubleheader, give me the Raptors and the Clippers as your winners. Hockey last night. 5-game slate. The Red Wings feed the Blues 4-3 on national TV. They go to 11-11-3. St. Louis 8-12-3. The number 1 star of the game with 2 goals, Tyler Bertuzzi. The number 2 star of the game with 2 goals, David Perron. And the number 3 star of the game with a goal and assist, Thomas Vanek. The Ducks defeated the Panthers 3-2. The Ducks go to 10 12-10-5. Florida drops to 9-10-4. The number one star of the game with 2 goals, Nick Ritchie. The number 2 star of the game with 42 saves on 44 shots, John Gibson. And the number 3 star of the game with the goal, Evgeny Dadonov. The Maple Leafs defeated the Sharks 5-3 in Austin Matthews' return as Toronto improves to 18-8-0. Sharks dropped to 12-9-5. And the number 1 star of the game with 2 goals and an assist, welcome back Austin Matthews. The number 2 star of the game with 2 goals, John Tavares. The number 3 star of the game with 38 saves on 41 shots, Frederik Andersen. The Stars defeated the Flames 4-3 in overtime. Good win for Dallas to go to 13-10-3. Calgary drops to 14-9-2. The number 1 star of the game with a goal and assist, Mark Giordano. The number 2 star of the game with the goal and an assist, Gavin Beruther. And the number 3 star of the game with a goal and assist, Tyler Seguin. The Avalanche defeated the Penguins 6-3, an impressive win for the Avs on national TV to go to 15-6-4. Pittsburgh drops to 10-9-5. The number 1 star of the game with a goal and 3 assists, Nathan MacKinnon. Number 2 star of the game with a hat trick, Sidney Crosby. The number 3 star of the game with a goal and assist, Gabriel Landeskog. Tonight's slate is bigger. At 7 o'clock, you have the Islanders and the Bruins, the Wild and the Blue Jackets. 7:30, Rangers Senators, Sabres Lightning. 8 o'clock, Coyotes Predators, Blackhawks Jets. 9 o'clock, Kings Oilers. 10 o'clock, Golden Knights Canucks. Now I'm going to do my college football bowl projections for championship week. A lot of changes with some upsets happening and some other random little things. The college football playoff. I have in the Cotton Bowl, number 1 Alabama against number 4 Oklahoma Sooners. Yes, I made my case for Oklahoma over Ohio State on the podcast a few days ago and said that Oklahoma, despite their bad defense, is a missed field goal away from possibly being undefeated. And Ohio State got their butts kicked by Purdue, which was very reminiscent of them getting their butts kicked last year by Iowa. And if Georgia were to win, then Georgia obviously would get in over Oklahoma if Oklahoma and Ohio State were to both win. So Georgia has the keys, but I don't see Georgia winning this week. And number 2 Clemson against number 3 Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl. The rest of the New Year's Six Bowls. The Peach Bowl at Florida and Penn State. The Fiesta Bowl, Boise State and Michigan. Rose Bowl, Washington and Ohio State. And the Sugar Bowl, West Virginia against Georgia. Other bowl games. The New Mexico Bowl, I have Louisiana Tech and San Diego State. The Cure Bowl, Houston and Louisiana. And by the way, the bowls for the Sun Belt teams are confirmed by sources out there. Las Vegas Bowl, Arizona State and Fresno State. Camellia Bowl, Miami of Ohio and Georgia Southern. New Orleans Bowl, Appalachian State and North Texas. Boca Raton Bowl, Middle Tennessee and Tulane. The Frisco Bowl, South Florida and Florida International. Crispilla Bowl, Temple and Miami. The Bahamas Bowl, Northern Illinois and Marshall. The famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Western Michigan and Nevada. The Birmingham Bowl, UCF and Vanderbilt. Armed Forces Bowl, Army and Memphis. Dollar General Bowl, Buffalo and Troy. Hawaii Bowl, Southern Miss and Hawaii. First Responder Bowl, FAU and Duke. Quick Lane Bowl, Georgia Tech and BYU. Cheez-It Bowl, Oklahoma State and Oregon. Independence Bowl, Boston College and Utah State. The Pinstripe Bowl, NC State and Minnesota. Texas Bowl, TCU and South Carolina. Music City Bowl, Mississippi State and Iowa. Camping World Bowl, Texas and Pitt. The Alamo Bowl, Iowa State and Washington State. The Belk Bowl, Syracuse and Missouri. The Arizona Bowl, Arkansas State and Wyoming. Military Bowl, Cincinnati and Virginia. The Hyundai Sun Bowl, Wake Forest and Cal. The Red Box Bowl, Purdue and Stanford. The Liberty Bowl, Baylor and Auburn. Holiday Bowl, Wisconsin and Utah. The Tax-Slayer Bowl, Kentucky and Virginia Tech. The Outback Bowl, Texas A&M and Michigan State. And the Citrus Bowl, LSU and Northwestern. All right, next I'm going to discuss the firing of Scott Montgomery from East Carolina. This was, I believe, one of my predictions before the season, if I'm not mistaken. East Carolina has underachieved the last couple years and really hasn't been relevant for a while. The last time I can remember them making a bowl game had to have been 2014. They were 3-9 last year. They're probably going to be 3-9 again this year. 2016 they were 3-9. 2015 they were 5-7. They were a bowl team in 2014 in which they were 8-5, and believe it or not, their offensive coordinator on that team was Lincoln Riley, who is obviously now the head coach of Oklahoma. Ruffin McNeil was their coach when they were that bowl team, and then McNeil was fired after the 2015 season. So Montgomery had 3 years. He failed, and now they're searching for another new head coach. And I'm interested to see where they go with this. Tonight we have such a big football game in the NFL. The 10-1 New Orleans Saints against the 6-5 Dallas Cowboys. 8 o'clock on Fox and the NFL Network. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews on the call, and Christina Pink too. This is a pretty fun game between the league's best team in the Saints and one of the surprise division leaders in the Cowboys. The Saints are coming off a Thanksgiving night divisional home win over the Atlanta Falcons. The Cowboys are coming off a Thanksgiving Day divisional home win over the Washington Redskins. This is a big test for both these teams' defenses since the Cowboys haven't seen an offense this good perhaps all season, and the Saints on the road against an improved Cowboys offense with the addition of Amari Cooper should be a test for the young Saints defense. That said, it's hard to pick against the Saints right now, and I think they'll win a shootout in Jerry World. The prediction, New Orleans 38, Dallas 34. So the gambling play here is the +7 with the Cowboys. I would take a stab on the over too, but Saints win outright, Cowboys +7. And last but not least, my best bet of the night, courtesy of FanDuel. College hoops, James Madison, Belmont, North Florida, UAB, Arizona, Santa Clara, UC Davis, and UC Santa Barbara on the money lines. These are all money lines, by the way. Give me the Raptors over the Warriors. And in the NHL, the Nashville Predators and the Winnipeg Jets and the New Orleans Saints. That is the moneyline parlay plus $9.75 to win $12.68 with a payout of $13.98. And this was a $1.30 wager. And that's it for the podcast today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping Saints Cowboys, NBA, NHL, college hoops. I'll do my picks for championship weekend in college football and the rest of NFL Week 13. And I'll go over anything else that happens in the world of sports. Also get into more of MLB offseason talk with some trade rumors involving Noah Syndergaard and Corey Kluber. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.